In the cold, crystal waters of Iceland, a young orca swam free. He had no name, no expectations, just the open sea and the warmth of his pod. But human hands would soon steal him from this paradise. Keiko was born in the icy waters off Iceland in 1979, a young calf surrounded by his family. He swam freely, playing among the waves and thriving in the cold ocean. But that freedom was short-lived. Human hands, driven by profit, would tear him away from the life he was meant to live. A fishing net ensnared the young orca, separating him from his pod and the only world he knew. It was the beginning of a journey filled with confinement, struggle, and fleeting glimpses of hope.
Imagine if the world you lived in, the space you breathed in, and the freedom you played in was suddenly taken away.
Keiko's first stop after his capture was an aquarium in Iceland. His new world was a small, sterile tank, a stark contrast to the vast ocean he had once called home. The walls echoed his cries, and the once playful calf now swam in endless circles, a shadow of his former self. From there, he was sold to a marine park in Canada, where he was trained to perform tricks for crowds. The transition was harsh, but the worst was yet to come. In 1985, Keiko was sold to Reino Aventura, a marine park in Mexico City. Here he was thrust into an environment completely unsuited to his needs. The tank was painfully small, the water chlorinated and warm, and the climate blisteringly hot. Day after day, Keiko performed for park visitors, his health deteriorating as his spirit faded. Skin lesions spread across his body, a physical manifestation of the stress and neglect he endured. The once vibrant and free calf had become a lonely, ailing attraction. The conditions in Mexico were devastating for Keiko. The warm, shallow water exacerbated his health issues, and he lacked the social interaction that orcas depend on for their mental well-being. His meals consisted of dead fish, far removed from the dynamic hunting he would have experienced in the wild. His dorsal fin drooped, a common occurrence in captive orcas, symbolizing the physical and emotional toll of their confinement. Keiko's isolation and deteriorating health painted a grim picture of captivity's consequences. In 1993, the release of the movie Free Willy changed everything.
Come on, Willy, you only have to do it once, just once, boy.
The film told the heartwarming story of a boy who befriends a captive orca and helps him escape to the wild. Audiences around the world fell in love with the fictional Willy, but the irony was impossible to ignore. The real-life star Keiko remained trapped in his tank, far from freedom. As the film's popularity grew, so did public outcry. Fans, activists, and journalists began calling for Keiko's release. The world demanded a happy ending, not just for Willy, but for Keiko as well.
The eyes of his adoring fans, hoping for the best as they say their farewells to the gentle whale.
Just to say goodbye and hope that everything is okay. I'm a little mixed on how I feel about it.
The Free Willy Keiko Foundation was established in 1994, spearheaded by Warner Brothers, the International Marine Mammal Project, and passionate donors. Their goal was clear: to rehabilitate Keiko and release him back into the wild. But achieving that goal would require immense effort and funding. The foundation launched a global campaign, appealing to corporations, individuals, and even children. Donations poured in from all corners of the world, driven by the desire to see Keiko free. Despite the support, the foundation faced significant challenges. Rehabilitating a captive orca was unprecedented, and doubts loomed over whether it was even possible. The financial strain was immense, and maintaining momentum required constant outreach. Warner Brothers contributed, as did philanthropists like Craig McCaw, who donated $2 million to the effort. But the most heartfelt contributions came from children around the world, sending their allowances and letters, demanding justice for Keiko. These small acts of kindness became the backbone of the campaign, symbolizing hope amidst uncertainty. In 1996, after years of planning and fundraising, Keiko was moved to the Oregon Coast Aquarium. His new home was a state-of-the-art facility designed to provide the care and space he desperately needed. For the first time in over a decade, Keiko swam in clean, cold water.
Bye, Keiko.
Say bye-bye, Keiko.
Bye, Keiko.
See you soon.
See you later.
A $12 million moment.
This mission is a go.
A 4-year plan to rehab Keiko comes to fruition as the Free Willy star is lifted to freedom.
Well, he told me this morning that he was very happy with all the attention.
After weeks of drills and dry runs, Keiko's departure went off without a glitch.
He was given live fish to hunt, and his trainers worked tirelessly to rebuild his strength and teach him the skills he would need to survive in the wild. His transformation was remarkable. The lesions on his skin healed, his immune system strengthened, and he regained the weight he had lost in captivity. Keiko's rehabilitation at Oregon was both a triumph and a test of patience. Trainers mimicked wild orca calls to stimulate his instincts, and he gradually learned to catch live fish. However, the process revealed the deep scars left by years of captivity. Keiko's reliance on humans was a persistent obstacle. He often sought out his caretakers for reassurance, a behavior that underscored the challenges of undoing decades of conditioning. The question remained, could he ever truly become wild again?
A container by the United Parcel Service and flown in an Air Force jet to Iceland.
Now that he's leaving, it's kind of a sad thing, but it's also very exciting to see that he's making that next step.
We cheered when Keiko splashed down in Iceland, knowing that Keiko was finally home, back in the waters where he was born.
In 1998, the next phase of Keiko's journey began. He was flown to Iceland, returning to the waters where he had been born. The foundation created a massive sea pen in Klettsvik Bay, providing a controlled environment for Keiko to adapt to the ocean. Here, he experienced the tides, weather, and marine life of his native habitat. Trainers continued to work with him, introducing him to wild orca pods and encouraging him to explore the open ocean. Keiko's interactions with wild orcas were cautious and fleeting. He followed pods and mimicked their calls, but integration proved elusive. Decades in captivity had robbed him of the social skills necessary to bond with other orcas. Additionally, his experiences with other captive orcas in Canada, where he had been bullied, left him wary of his own kind. Despite the Foundation's best efforts, Keiko's time in captivity had created barriers that were difficult to overcome. As Keiko spent more time in the sea pen, his physical health continued to improve, but his emotional and social development lagged. Trainers observed him swimming near wild pods, but he never fully joined them. The sea pen, though expansive, was still a controlled environment, and Keiko often returned to the safety of its confines. Critics began to question whether the rehabilitation effort was truly preparing him for life in the wild, or simply prolonging his dependence on humans.
We grew more hopeful when he began taking what his trainers called open ocean walks to interact with his wild counterparts for the first time in more than 20 years. His ocean walks eventually led him hundreds of miles away to Norway.
By 2002, after years of training and gradual exposure to the wild, Keiko was given more freedom. He began taking longer, unsupervised swims in the open ocean. In an extraordinary journey, he swam 870 miles from Iceland to Norway, a testament to his strength and resilience. However, instead of joining wild pods, Keiko sought out human companionship. He approached boats and interacted with locals, a clear sign that his dependence on humans had not been broken. Keiko spent his final years in a Norwegian fjord, semi-wild but still reliant on human care. Locals embraced him, providing food and companionship. While he swam freely in the fjord, he never fully integrated into the wild. The sight of Keiko approaching boats was both heartwarming and heartbreaking, a reminder of the complex legacy of his captivity and the limitations of his rehabilitation. On December 12, 2003, Keiko passed away from pneumonia at the age of 27.
He captured our hearts and minds during his time spent in Oregon and on the big screen, but tonight, Keiko the killer whale has died.
Despite the best efforts of his caretakers, Keiko never fully returned to the wild. His story remains a testament to the resilience of animals and the profound impact of captivity on their lives.
Video of Keiko in the Norwegian Bay where he would spend his last days. Keiko playfully tipping over a rubber raft, letting a small child scratch his back. And as he did nearly everywhere he went in his travels, drawing a crowd.
Keiko's story remains a complex legacy. His rehabilitation was an unprecedented effort, driven by compassion and the desire to right the wrongs of captivity. However, it also highlighted the profound challenges of rewilding an animal who had spent so much of his life in confinement. Critics argue that his release was rushed and that more time was needed to prepare him for the wild. Supporters, however, see his journey as a symbol of hope and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Keiko's life sparked a global conversation about the ethics of keeping marine mammals in captivity. His story inspired changes in public attitudes and policy, pushing for better conditions and alternatives to captivity. While his freedom was imperfect, his legacy continues to impact the world, reminding us of the importance of compassion, perseverance, and the fight for a better future for all creatures.